Hey everyone, welcome to video 3 of making Challenged, a Turmoil Trolls Challenge mode game. Alright, so we were in common events last video. The last thing we need to do to set up our database to make sure we are good to go is to go into System 1. So as we can see the game title, we left the basic ruins. You might notice that if you started a new project, some of the music is different, but all of this is the basic RPG music. We just changed the title, the battle theme, and such. It's really just for whatever flair we want of free assets. Now, if you remember that the starting party has intro. So, what we can do here is we can either add or remove characters from the start. We're starting with intro because intro is completely blank. So with that, we are going to be starting right in with a character that you don't have to worry about seeing. Next, we have starting positions. So we can see as we open it up, and that may have been too fast. So I went from starting positions right in here. Now it's the intro map, and we just put intro anywhere we need to do it here. We just don't use this top corner, and we're going to go into why in a second. All right, we have all we need to start, so let's go ahead and go into it. The first thing we did was create a blank map. If you're not sure how to do that, all you need to do in this case is go into Challenged, and then as you go, we're just going to hit New. And we left this one completely blank right now. And bam, we're in a blank map. Now I'm going to delete this just for the sake of simplicity. But we're going to go into our other blank map, which is called intro. All right. So for intro, first things we want to do is we're going to hit edit. We can see that let me go back. When you first upload a new map, you'll see that this is checked off. We decided to check it and made sure we played scene. We played it at a gentler volume, and we have adjusted the pitch a little bit. Now, it doesn't really matter what we set it in, but it matters what's going to happen here. We're finally into making our first events of the game. All right. As we can see here on the start, we'll have a black screen, and we'll see that we have some text that we're not going to get into each line by line, but you can follow along. And again, the game files are available at the link provided in the description. After we have all the kind of generic dialogue, we decide to flash the screen, and then we fade it out. I do this so that I can add in Reed, Michelle, Casey, and Elliot. Now, if you're asking how I pick those, it's because if you actually upload a new project in RPG Maker, these are the 4 default characters. And then we remove intro. We also go ahead and transfer our player to the first map, the actual map 001. And then we fade in the screen. So what this event does also, is set, it doesn't really matter where it's set right now, but we trigger it by going on to auto run. Auto run just means that the second we go to this map, this event is happening. Okay. So then our player is transported in to map 1. Now, we have designated the player to start roughly around, I think, here, or right in the middle of the screen, where they would normally go. How do we know this? Again, as we click into this event called Start, let's look and edit this. And we can click in here and see, okay, yeah, it's 2 up for this first event. So our players are going to go in here. Okay. And now we know that there's nothing here, but we know our players are going to show up. So if you watched the gameplay video, you might wonder how everything else kind of came into line. Well, that's because this event we have up here, which we just called Event 1, we can see that we also set it to auto run. We also set it to below characters just in case for whatever reason you end up walking on it during gameplay. You're just going to be able to walk right over it. All right, from here we have exactly what we were setting up in the database. We've set player health to be 10. That's because 10 representing, the full amount a 1d10 dice can do. We've set 2 defense boost. That is so that Reed's leather vest for +2 defense comes into play. And we've given the player 1 revive item just to start. Now the next is in scene control. So what we have it happening? Well, if you're new to it, just go into New, Tab 2, Set Movement Route is right here under Movement. In this case, we have the player moving up, waiting a second, turning, right, down, left, and up. It's important to add these wait frames because RPG Maker can have your characters moving so fast it doesn't look as good. So this is more about a matter of directional timing on your part or preference of how long do you want them to wait. We get to add in a balloon icon just so the player has a little bit of personality, even though we've intentionally designed it so that Reed doesn't talk for this adventure. And we have our little bit of dialogue. As we can see here, we're going to want to introduce with some gravitas the big bad, or maybe even not big bad, god that's going to start messing with our characters. So we're going to shake the screen to give some effect. We've set it to the default, but really just whatever else you want to do. We've played a sound effect for the devil. Let's see what that sounds like. We set it as a kind of evil trickster goddess, so that works enough. And then we're going to go change the background music. Whatever you think of of our writing, don't worry, we're having fun with it, so we'll just stick with that. But again, as directionally you wanted to set a cutscene, giving your character some personality with exclamation points, and then giving your players a little bit to go on. We've set some animation that's going to happen on our player characters that's going to denote whatever world they were in before, they have less power now. And then as we go into it, we're going to go into the main event, which has even more meat on it. We're going to turn the switch Albert on. Now this is going to be important because this kicks off a lot of our other programming events that we'll cover in the next video. But the last thing I want to hit on is this control self switch A. As we can see in tab 2, RPG Maker always defaults to the highest number tab, so it doesn't go in logical order from 1 to 2. If you have tab 2, it's always going to start here. Now we make sure we check this box for self switch A, because in tab 1 we can see that we have control self switch A being on. So this means that it's not going to go to here until this event plays out. Now we have nothing in here, and that is by design, because we want this event to effectively disappear. It's going to be below characters. There's no acting on it. It's just going, and even if you were to hit the action button, nothing's going to happen. Another way to do this that would be correct, but you kind of have to watch out for, is if you were going to, I hit new, and then you could try exit event processing will kind of break it a little bit because it's still set to auto run. So if you have auto run on, do not hit exit event processing. But what I'm getting at is in tab 2, if you hit erase event, this will work as long as you stay on the map. By default, we usually just go ahead and go do a self switch for a blank event if we want something to disappear permanently, because we like it if the characters could go back to the map, they don't have to deal with the starting events. All right, that concludes this video. We're going to get into the meat of all our animation and action as we do the control switches Albert being on. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Happy gaming.